Now, today, I want to talk about another thing. I think that today we have to really, besides just maintaining our legacy, we have to step up to the plate as veterans again. Like today, we are seeing attacks on our civil liberties by the Justice Department that are basically turning this country into the rights that we claim to be a free country are being turned into empty, meaningless words. You know, we are free and we're free, so we want all our rights taken away to stay free. Then you have to question, what does the word free actually mean at this point? Does free mean having an SUV or drinking all the beer you can drink? Or does free mean having rights to express your opinions and to stand up for what's right? And we're seeing that, you know, when you went into the service, every one of you swore an oath to uphold the Constitution from all enemies, internal and external. And today I think we better start looking at if there's some people internal as well as external that are trying to overturn our freedoms and stand up for that. I think in terms of September 11th, we have seen that instead of going after perpetrators of mass murder, that the government has used it as an excuse to launch war whenever and wherever they want, to promote a military budget that's bigger than anything you've ever seen. Terrorism has become the new communism. They used to be against the war on communism. Now we got the war on terrorism. It never ends because you don't know who it is, but you always got someone to fight, and you pay for it. So things haven't changed. So our legacy is just as valid today as it was in the past. And I think that we need today to continue to organize veterans to stand up. Now, I was elected to the board of directors of Vets for Peace in January 2000, and in January of this year I missed a board meeting. I was out in Hawaii on a vacation, and they put it to me. They elected me as national president of Veterans for Peace. Now, they put it to me because it's not no fun. But I think that we have to work together for a united Veterans Peace Alliance today to stand up as part of the progressive movement. I don't think we can, this is not about one organization versus the other. We cannot think competitively in this matter. We have to think cooperatively and work together in trying to build up a broad front of veterans to stand up again. See, I know we're old. You know, I'm as old as, well, maybe not as old as some people here, but I'm 55, so I'm no young guy. You know, when VVAW was formed in '67, I was in Vietnam, you know, and I joined, 31 years ago, so, but I'm not a young guy. I've been at it a long time, but I think there's a lot of other people besides us, because VVAW was spawned by a Veterans for Peace in Vietnam movement and has spawned other veterans to stand up. The example of veterans resisting encourages other veterans and GIs that this is part of our tradition. And it goes back. Smedley Butler was telling it like it is way back in the early days, you know. So, I mean, it ain't like GIs are a bunch of dumb shits that get up there and we just got us hit by a bolt of lightning. Anyone who serves in war eventually comes to the point where some people begin to say, let's look at behind why we were actually fighting here. So I'm advocating that we have to work together today for a new effort to unify the Veterans Peace Movement on all levels, and I encourage people to come back to the table where we have some of the Veterans for Peace material. Consider joining, look at the newsletter. I've been encouraging people in Veterans for Peace to join VVAW, so this is not rating. But I think we have to help build what we have to make it as strong and as united as we can, and I think that there's a future to the movement. I'm going to just say two other brief things. One is I've been involved, and you've read articles I've written about the struggle in Villegas, Puerto Rico. And I brought some material back there, and I got these Veterans for Peace for Villegas buttons. I all want you, if you don't have one, take one, English or Spanish. The struggle on Villegas is a struggle that veterans are involved in down there. But Barry mentioned we don't turn our back on our Latino brothers. Well, that's part of why we're involved in Villegas as well, because if we had to fight together in a war, why can't we stand together for peace, you know? And that struggle is still continuing. The government had committed themselves under Clinton to get out in May of 2003, and then when Bush came in, the Congress voted, not Bush, the Congress overturned Clinton's executive order, but Bush is verbally committed to leaving in May 2003. So at this point, we are still fighting to get an executive order issued. There's a movement still going to get an executive order for the Navy to leave Villegas in 2003. And there's also preparations for the next round of bombings, which will take place in September, August or September, for another wave of popular civil disobedience on the ranges. And I've been putting out a few of the emails to some of the brother veterans down there that have been getting arrested. I don't know if you've been getting them, and I hope you've been writing letters to the people when they're in jail, because all veterans down there can read English, because you have to talk that in the Army. And they all appreciate the support that they get from other veterans here. The idea that we're up here, that brother veterans and sister veterans are supporting those guys means a lot to them, more than I think we can realize. Sometimes we think maybe, oh, what am I going to say? Just say, right on, brother, I'm with you, and I'm a Vietnam vet, and I don't like it either. That's all you got to say. So I hope you'll keep your eyes on that. The other thing is, I wanted to point out that, yes, I've written some articles and told you about the efforts we have in Jersey City with our memorial committee. And I have a little brochure back there about something new we started called the Hidden Casualties Project. I think you know that more guys died after they came back from the war from war-related causes and died over there. In fact, we could argue about, was it twice as many, 3 times as many, or whatever. But we know that more guys died from Agent Orange or from emotional wounds or even physical wounds when they came home. And they've never been recognized, you know, and we have memorials to the guys, the 58,000, and we don't remember the guys who come home and wasted away from Agent Orange. Or he got too messed up because he couldn't deal with it, and he came to Milwaukee and drank himself to death in 2 years, you know. And I can tell you a lot of guys like that. We were talking last night about up in Massachusetts where it was almost like God put the message in there, you know, that up in Massachusetts they built a memorial for 6 guys who died in this one town. And the sister brought up that, what about this guy who died from Agent Orange and this other guy who died from drugs right away afterwards? And they wouldn't touch it. You know, they didn't want it to, well, we have to remember everybody. No, you know, Bush says no one's left behind. Well, we should keep that in mind here. No one's left behind. We remember everybody. I'm going to stop for now, but I just want to say that a lot of people think that Vietnam veterans are just these guys getting old and getting fat and getting bald and sitting around drinking beer and waving flags and all that stuff. Or they think we're just a bunch of guys who are sick and dying because they poisoned us. Like my friend says, no one here gets out alive. But you know, one thing about being with Vietnam Veterans Against the War is that Vietnam Veterans Against the War is a commitment for life and is a commitment to keep the faith. And there's still a lot of miles left on these shoes, so let's keep using them. Thank you.